Well, this is a beautiful, beautiful Monday morning. It is Monday, isn't it, Pat? Not
Yes,
Friday.
the last time I checked, yes,
Okay,
yes.
yes, well, it's Monday morning. Beautiful Monday morning. I don't know what the hell you're doing in a house watching us, but you're welcome just the same. Are you raring and fighting fit, Pat?
Yeah, the alternative is to this, Jude, is going out and cutting the grass. So I'm doing this. Yeah.
So you figure I'm better than a sodden heap of
Jesus. Well, Jude, put it like this: I hate cutting grass.
well, life's a matter of choices anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody has made a choice to come here. Well, here, I'll give you a rundown of the things that we're going to dealing with. I'm speaking now to our viewer, not you, Pat.
Mm,
Here's Starmer's visit, France and the elections, and then Alex Kane has an article in the Irish Times talking about picking out the bones of some of the things we didn't deal with regard to the election. Anyway, let's start with Starmer's visit. He is among us. How do you look in general terms, Pat, before you get down to the detail, how do you feel about him coming among us on this Monday
Jude,
morning?
I don't know, Jude. Maybe I'm the wrong person. I am simply underwhelmed by Starmer. I really am. I get the impression like right here's where I'm coming from to get my cards on the table. I think Starmer's election is based on detestation of the Tories rather than love for Labour. I firmly believe that. I believe that's he said nothing during the election, did nothing during the election. His policies are not. Nobody knows what the hell they are. What's his relationship we're going to be like with, say, Donald Trump or Israel or anywhere else? What's his policy going to be on immigration? He says, what's his policy going to be even in regard to Scottish independence? Nobody knows. He didn't mention any of those things. All he says, I want to reset my relationships with the four nations. By the way, I love that one, the four nations. And he said the Labour Party had been successful in all four nations. Go and tell me what success they had in Northern Ireland. But anyway, that's another. But
Well,
that's where I'm coming from, Jude.
yeah, you put your finger on it when you said that thing about the four nations, because I have, this is just me probably oversensitive. I am a sensitive human being, as you know, Pat. But I have this feeling, it feels like an emperor, shortly after ascending the throne, going around to the four corners of his empire and having a word with good people who will now kowtow to him.
Yeah,
That's the truth.
yeah,
This is the north of Ireland. This man has been brought up in England, works in England, is in charge in England, and he comes over here to visit us, and people will be lining up to shake hands with him and
mm,
looking excited and telling each other what he said to them. I see him as a cross between that notion of an emperor and Lady Bountiful, who
yeah,
used to go around with her basket of food and give food to the deserving poor.
yeah.
Think it puts us in an undignified position, really. However, we're
Yeah.
stuck with a bastard. Uh,
Uh,
Hilary, the one happy light I see in it actually, and they were talking about this on Radio Olu this morning, is Hilary Benn. I
mm,
quite like Hilary Benn. I don't think he's a patch on his father, but I do kind of like the way he talks and the way he looks.
mm,
He's big, enthusiastic. His voice is alive, and he's pretty articulate and not particularly nasty. He tends to focus on policy, as his father did, rather than in personality. Um,
yeah.
would you concur with those two sentiments, Pat?
Absolutely. Tom Collins in the Irish News had a column last week where he actually named all the Secretary of States since the Tories took over, and the 14 years, including my particular favourite, Karen Bradley, who didn't know that Unionists voted for the Union and Nationalists voted for, nationalist parties. Jesus, that was the woman who was tasked with delivering peace in Northern Ireland. So there you go. That's the level we were at. Hilary Benn, no, I agree with you, by the way. I don't think he's a patch on his dad, but that's neither here nor there. But at least Jude, he seems to know what he's talking about. And here, Jude, the one thing that occurred to me, see, right, Hilary Benn was running around yesterday. The great emperor arrives this morning, and he's met the Pengelly and Michelle O'Neill, and he's now, I think, met with the leaders of all the local parties, etc., etc., etc. But right, here's a question for you: has he made any commitment to Casement Park? Has he
Well,
made any? But hold on, no real commitment. Has he made any commitment to funding the absolutely massively underfunded public services, particularly health service? Has he done anything? Has he come out public and said we are definitely going to rescind the Legacy Act? Do they come over and they talk and they say all? But once you get into power, Richard, here's what I'm really getting at. I will be very surprised if they really go after the Legacy Act. I think they'll find a way to dance around it. The other thing, Casement Park, Jude, I heard Hilary Benn saying yesterday, it will be built. Jude, we all know it will be built. But the big one is, will they give the money for it to built in time for the Euros in 2028?
well, I was listening to Nolan. Nolan's away, somebody else is in his place, but they were talking about Hilary Benn, and they were talking about it in pretty positive terms. They were saying that he's across his brief, and he does sound like a man who's informed, at least.
Yeah.
And they also seem to suggest that he was saying that not only will Casement Park be built, but inside the next few days, he didn't say few days, but they concluded that within the next few days, he would say whether or not to be built in time for the Euros in 2028. I have a strong suspicion that they will build, A, they'll fund it, or they'll see it's funded somehow, and B, that they will have it built in time for the Euros. I think it's too obvious a goal for them to score, so to speak, at the beginning of their term in office. Here they come, and if they can say, we stick beside you, we're going to see that you get your Gaelic Park built just the same as the rugby and just the same as the soccer. And what's more, everybody's all up about the Euros at the moment. The next Euros will feature Belfast. I have a strong suspicion he'll go for that. That's a very nice headline to have at an early stage. Do you think?
Yeah, it makes I can't remember the name of the financial expert. He was from one of the big firms like Cuppers, Lebrant, and whatever.
Aye.
He said that this thing about the Euro. He said the money, the revenue it will bring in, the tourism benefit simply cannot be estimated. I hear live from Belfast as Germany versus France in the Euros in 2028, and 50,000 or 55,000 people here. The branding of Belfast, the tourism revenue, the income that it'll bring in terms of spend, people accommodation or TV rates, all that sort of stuff. He says, it's not the big spend that has been made out to be. There are actually considerable long-term benefits, socially, as economically, and politically. So you're 100% right. That it would be I think it'd be a 1-1 for everybody if it went ahead. Mm-hmm. But this thing, they're going to find, well, wait a minute, what about the health service? Why spend 300 million on a stadium for the Fenians when there's such a big waiting list for, and it is sectarian. A lot of it's sectarian.
Well, if I think you're right, that's underlying it all. Now, it's not overt. I haven't heard anybody say it in terms of, the nationalists and the unionists, but there is that element running underneath it. But at the same time, I think if I was a unionist, right, I would be urging Hilary Benn and the Emperor to, for God's sake, build that and build it in time for the Euros. For two reasons. One is that it would show that it wasn't just a GAA pitch. It was a pitch which soccer could be played if the necessity arose. It's also, of course, a place where all sorts of big events could be held. But most important of all, success with funding Casement Park, having it ready in time for the Euros, would send a message to the nationalist population, you're going to get good stuff from us. In other words, it would be, to some degree, encouraging nationalists to not be heading for this damned United Ireland.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. I hadn't thought of it like that, but but hey, let me get this clear. And I've read so much. If you're talking about your Jim Allisters and your Jamie Brysons, they never see that far ahead. The point you make is actually excellent. And if I'm taking it on board because that the long term benefit. I would be saying to a lot of nationalists, wait a minute, look, we're going to deliver. You're going to, the people you refer to as the soft nationalists, the Castle Catholics,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff would play brilliantly with them. And I think Alex, we might be coming to him later on. Alex Kane said, if Unionists keep taking seats from each other without taking seats from nationalists, there's no hope for the Union. Well, Jude, unless the Unionists can convince nationalists to vote for the Union, there's no hope for the Union either.
Well, actually, now having said that it would play well in terms of, and it might have some effect on the soft nationalists. I'll be honest with you, I don't even think that will work. I do think we're set on a road that's going to head for United.
Yeah, but Jude,
it's too late now. But it might slow the train.
One thing, Jude, and one thing in a series of things.
How do you mean?
No, if there were other blandishments handed
out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but then, you see, he might upset the Unionists, and that would never do. So they have to put some brakes on there. But I do see this as a great opportunity for them to come in, smash in here, right at the very beginning of their administration. They give this goodie to the nationalist people and to the people of the North generally, if it's a sense to see it. It's a good opportunity, and I have a feeling that Ben will come through with it one way or another.
Okay, I'm not so sure.
He might pay for it all, but I think he'll give a commitment that it's going to be ready in time for the Euros and it's going to be built. Anyway, okay, you talked about Alex Kane, but let's park him for a moment and let's talk about France. I was watching France. Now, listen to my French. France 24, France 24. Channel, and it was really exciting. I was very struck by the huge crowds that were there, the passion with which they spoke. I was also very struck by the number of people with a dark skin, dare I say, that clearly are playing an important part in various political factions. And I was delighted to see, Marine Le Pen get knocked back on her heels. Did you watch it? It was kind of glorious.
I was watching it on the news last night. I was following it sort of loosely all week, and the opinion polls were saying that she was almost nailed on for victory. Now, I haven't said that. Macron's people on the far left peeled off someone like a couple of hundred candidates. So every place there was 3 seats or 3 candidates. Sorry. They agreed on one, and there was one place I was watching a guy from BBC yesterday morning where a former minister actually stood aside because I think she was in 3rd place. She stood aside, so it made it to be a straight run between the far right and the other candidate. So that's why that's what's the big swing. Marine Le Pen says it's just victory delayed. I'm not so sure it's victory delayed. There's a lot of concern about some of the things. They're going to ban hijabs. They're going to do this. Jude, it's a recipe for civil war and for absolute instability.
I thought it was a wonderful moment because it went against everybody's been forever going on about Trump in the US and the far right in France and Poland and Hungary and so on. And here was this, suddenly it just showed you, if you want something badly enough, you can make it happen. If you're voters, get organized and make a stand. In a way, it was a very simple bit of arithmetic. If we had one single candidate here against Marine Le Pen, then that would win it for us. And that's what they did, and they won it. And I noticed that Marine Le Pen's party were complaining that this was bad, dirty politics, and they were ganging up on Marine Le Pen's party and giving it a kicking, so to speak, which I thought was ironic because that's the sort of image that they have themselves. Well, so it was really a good. I must say, it lifted my heart. I don't know much about French politics, but I did know that Le Pen was surging.
Le Pen wanted the other side to stay divided so they could win, and then they said it was dirty politics. When the other side said, "No, right, okay, we'll only pick one candidate run against you," which I think is totally legitimate, total politics and all the rest of it. But the thing about Jude, the other side, Macron is a non-popular, arrogant little shit. There's no 2 ways about that, and he has arrogance as he has got a Napoleonic complex. he thought he was the savior of France and whatever.
But they all, I mean, everybody put themselves forward as a savior of wherever they're running for.
Yeah, but he has it in spades. I think he seems to think that La France et moi, type attitude. What was it? De Valera
Your French
said,
is very good too, Pat.
absolutely. No, I remember De Valera said, what I need to know what the people of Ireland think, I just look into my own heart. Such fucking arrogance. But anyway, he seems to think that, remember he did the thing about the pensions. He looks after his right-wing friends. He's not a man of the people. He's a man of the rich and the establishment and so on. So, and he doesn't have the common touch. And I think the rural people, the working class, have felt left behind for a very long time. So this left-wing coalition includes pretty far left. There's the Communist parties in there. There's the Workers' Party in there. So, I'd love, you see, the problem now, Jude, is no party's got a big
overall majority.
So they're going to have to work together. It could be gridlock for a while. And Macron's party is going to have to, they got, I think, 168 seats. The far left coalition got 186, I think it is. So I would say they're going to have to form a coalition.
I was very refreshed to see the fact that they talked about the Communist Party, the socialist candidates. You couldn't have that in America, couldn't have that in Britain, and you probably couldn't have it in Ireland either. You know, we're very timid. I mean, somebody who's a communist has every right to stand for Parliament if they want to. And there must be a number of people who would subscribe to them. They may not win, but their presence is acceptable and legal. Likewise, socialists. I mean, socialists, apart from Bernie Sanders, socialist in the US is a dirty word. Socialist doesn't even arise in Britain. I mean, remember Keir Starmer's famous speech outside Number 10 the other day? We're not going to have any ideology strapping us down. We're going to get down to the... I really detest that. I really do. Anybody who does anything in politics or anything at all, you're doing it out of a sort of a general belief about the way the world works or should work. And to say, I can wash my brain free of all that and I'll deal with things.
But Trump refers to Biden and the Democrats as far left. Like, if Joe Biden was in Britain, he would be a member of the Tory party and on the right wing of the Tory party.
Yeah. Well, what did you think? I know this is frivolous. I was telling my wife that we discussed the dress sense of the various ministers as they walked down Downing Street, and she was disgusted. But what do you think of him marrying his drama teacher?
Macron. Yeah. I'm reluctant to go there.
Well, you have to admit it's a real romance across the generations.
He was
it's often spring and autumn or summer and autumn,
whatever it is. And he fell for his drama teacher and he married her. And there's a 15-year difference or something in the middle.
At least 15. I'd say
maybe 20 years.
You check it and see. Anyway, that's just a little incidental. One other little incidental, and then we'll come to some figures. I noticed Claire Hanna on Carruthers' show, and she was complaining at one point about the abuse that she had suffered, the names people have called her and so on. And then she didn't say it was online, but then somebody pointed out it was online, and I don't think she said it wasn't. But I frankly think that's a bit daft. Like, any politician is going to, well, you don't even have to be a politician. I can tell you that. You get abuse online. If people don't agree with you, they'll say the most appalling things. I really was very surprised at Claire Hanna that she would bring that up. I think that was an effort to say her rivals, i.e. maybe, was Sinn Féin running in South Belfast? No. Well, maybe just in general, I didn't sort of fit with my image of her. I always thought her was a pretty lively, fair-minded person. But that idea that people are dragging me down and not being nice to me,
No,
side of things?
no. See, a lot of the female politicians are not just getting political abuse; they're also getting serious, innuendo, sexualized, really gutter stuff. There, I know, Jude, I don't know. Just to digress a wee bit, I was watching a program last night about the girls in green. That was about sexual or alleged sexual abuse, and Jude, women, men. Jude, I've got pretty serious abuse on social media. Myself, and I presume you have too. But I think women get it so much more. And I don't think Claire Hanna was worried. It wasn't the political abuse she was getting. I think it was some of the what would you say, gutter stuff about a female and all this sort of stuff. I think that's more. And apparently, Jude, some of the stuff has been quite seriously abusive. No
How
personal
do you,
abuse, not political abuse.
yeah, was it her, was it Claire Hanna, or was it somebody else that was complaining about Joe Brawley having said that their entry of a candidate into
Yeah,
a
Claire
constituency they
Hanna
couldn't
and
win?
Matthew O'Toole both had a
Matthew
go at Joe.
O'Toole, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And Matthew O'Toole got really very snippy about it and said this was of course they weren't doing it, they were in it to win it and so on. And Joe Brawley, I saw a tweet from him, and he's saying, look, you've got every right if you want to run any constituency you want to, but just be honest about it. You know you're not going to win it, and you know that you're going to damage Sinn Féin.
Yeah. Well, here's the point, Jude. Gregory Campbell won East Derry with 179 votes. Cara Hunter of the SDLP got 6,000 something votes. I can't remember what, 6,400, I think it was.
Yeah.
Now, Jude, even 10% of her votes had gone to Sinn Féin, they would have ramped home. But the other side of the story, Jude, and this is where Claire Hanna and Matthew O'Toole are both. The last time, on the last election, the SDLP candidate was ahead of the Sinn Féin candidate by a fair distance, as far as I remember. The SDLP candidate came second. So they're saying, right, are you suggesting now that we should just step aside every time Sinn Féin enters a race, so on? You can argue it from both sides.
Well, you could, but I suppose I would. My natural tendency would be for Sinn Féin and the SDLP to form some sort of informal pact, so they're not damaging each other. Given that presumably they have both got the same kind of objective, they're both certainly nationalist parties. On the other hand, I worry a bit about that because that's almost encouraging unionism, although I don't think even you encourage them, they still would do it. It's always encouraging unionism to form a solid one.
But see, Matthew O'Toole and Claire Hanna would say right away that what you're doing there is just creating a sectarian headcount, etc.
I can't bear that expression, Pat. I know what you think, but I really can't. This state was created out of exactly that, a sectarian headcount, and a very careful sectarian headcount. It was maintained by its constituency.
But Dr. Collins, we're trying to put all that behind us and move forward in a very progressive way.
Okay. I'm living in the past. Okay, let me move to the future then with some facts and figures. And this is from Alex Kane. He says, and I think you'd agree with this, that Sammy and Gregory, that their majority was pared to the bone.
Absolutely.
They couldn't have been, they could have been closer, literally, but they were so close. It's incredible. So Ian Og might have had two people for company, only they got lucky. And he says, so in general terms, Alex Kane says, the DUP had a really bad day. The UUP, Robin Swan won it, but that was a good day for the UUP. But that's all they won. They just won that, and that was it. So he says that there's no more seats either for the UUP or for the DUP that are, as he says, bankable. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely,
no seats they can be sure of winning anymore.
At one stage, Jude, East Belfast was a nailed-on Unionist seat. That Coleraine, East Derry, I was going to say East London there, mid-year day. Coleraine area was whoever was the DUP candidate could put up his feet in the desk and get out the cigars because he knew he was made for life. He was going to be elected, whether he was a donkey or whatever, it doesn't matter. It was just the people were going to vote for him. That was the end of. Jude, this election. I see you on your blog or your site. There's some, as a Duffy on some young for a Duffy. Put up this,
He was a candidate for into, by the way.
and, well, his analysis was very good because, right, what he's basically saying, to put in a nutshell, is the nationalist Republican vote absolutely consolidated. Sinn Féin's vote, they didn't win any extra seats, but their vote was up in every constituency. They won 7 seats and their vote's up. And so that's nearly those seats locked in. But the corollary is the Unionist seats. Their majorities are well down and they're splintering all over the place. So if this trend continues, unionism is going to keep dividing and dividing and dividing. So you're 100% right. It was a really bad, excuse me, a really bad day for the DUP. It wasn't a great day for the UUP. Jim Allister, despite taking over from, from Ian Og, it's no big deal. The TUV, he's a one-man band. The TUV didn't do anything anywhere else. They've only one assembly member. What do you call it? They didn't cross the 50,000 vote threshold. So they're a minority party despite Jim's high profile. So
I remember one famous occasion where
Friday morning feeling good with Sinn Féin.
Sorry, I missed that last bit. Say it again.
Only people coming out feeling really, really top of the farm with Sinn Féin. Even the SDLP's vote and Derry was well done. And well, Claire Hanna had a reasonable. Claire Hanna could say she did well.
Yeah. I think she'd be a happy woman. The figures that Alex Kane draws attention to is this. He says that the total Unionist vote on Thursday was 43.1%, right? 43.1 total Unionist vote. The total Nationalist vote was 40.2%.
Yeah.
Which would suggest that we're all going on about, the rising tide of nationalism, but there's still, a full 2% or more even. Well, just about 2% difference between them and the advantages with unionism. But then he went on to point out that 43.1% is not evidence that they have a guaranteed majority for staying in the UK, because there is a 16.6% that are down the middle.
Yeah.
So if those, he says, if those were even divided equally, that would be a majority for United Ireland. If there was
Ben Laurie, the editor of the newsletter, I heard him on RT trying to spin this one about that it's not a bad day at all for you. Unionism still ahead. And I heard him on last night. Caught the tail end of the Sunday Politics. So, Jude, it's wishful thinking, right? Let's repeat something that's been repeated so often. I'm even bored repeating it, but let's me repeat it. Sinn Féin is now the biggest party at Westminster. Sinn Féin is now the biggest party in the Assembly. Sinn Féin is the biggest party in local government. Unless you're blind, stupid, and whatever else, you would sort of work out from that the tide is running only one way. Because 10 years ago, Sinn Féin were not the largest party at Westminster, Sinn Féin were not the largest party in the Assembly, and Sinn Féin were not the largest party in local government. So what? No, does Ben need someone stuck on his head with a hammer to sort of say, Ben, look what's happening?
I was looking at an old interview just last night on YouTube between Jonathan Dimbleby and Martin McGuinness. Yeah. And he was, they was doing the usual thing, you really speak for the IRA, not Sinn Féin. McGuinness wasn't behind the door and telling him that was not the case. He was speaking for a legitimate political party. Yeah. But the thing that McGuinness kept emphasizing, he says, we are a legitimate party. And what's more, the people have 1/8, 1 in every 8 people voted for us.
Yeah.
At the time, that was really something. 1 in 8. And look now, at top of the pile. Now, let's go to that last point that you raised with me, Pat, before we went on air. What about the South? What about Sinn Féin in the South? Is the loss that they're suffering there, are they going to be, I tell you what I'm sort of fearful of. I have a horrible feeling that they might work out not in the same way, but have a similar fate to the SNP. Because the SNP was once a hugely strong party. And probably owned all the seats. And now it's just destroyed. So you think there's any possibility? in the
Dude,
south.
I don't know what it is. I've had a bad feeling about Sinn Féin in the South for some time. And here's what look. I haven't really thought it through, but Jude, here's what I think. Every couple of months, the economic figures are released, and they're by the Department of Finance in the South.
Yeah.
And suddenly the surplus for this month is another couple of billion. And the projection for 2025 is it'll be 60 billion in the bank. The economic ERSI figures saying there'll be growth of 4% next year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Our exports are way up and all the rest. And I think a lot of people are saying, wait a minute, do we want to seriously put Sinn Féin in when, there's so much? No, this is Ireland's a great place, as I've said a million times before, if things are going well. If you're on
South of Ireland.
South of Ireland, and you've got a job and you're well paid, etc., etc., etc. It's a absolutely fabulous place, and a lot of people want to come here, etc., etc., etc. And they are they're trying things like housing. They're building quite a lot of houses now, and things are improving economically. But there was, and it's an easy spin for. I'm going to wrap up now, but there's an easy spin for those in government. We had COVID, we had the war in Ukraine, we had various other things, and these things impacted us. There were like Ireland basically got another county with the Ukrainians. So there's more than 100,000 Ukrainians came to Ireland in the space of 2 years, and the population, and no one saw the financial crisis as well in 2008 also played a role, and Ireland recovered very quickly. So all those factors, the government parties can say, look, we handle this place very well, and all Sinn Féin does is complain and protest. They're a party of protest. They don't have any policies themselves.
I think there's a certain amount of truth in that, definitely. However, from what I can gather when I hear programs on RTE about this, is that officially at the state level, I mean, things are really humming along. They're doing extremely well. They've got these vast surpluses and so on. But at the level of living, there's two things that people keep running into. One in particular is housing and health.
Yeah,
that I mean, housing is really, really serious. Like the people who are saying, I'll never own a house.
Yeah.
Whereas, their parents would have said, well, we had to work hard, but we were able to own a house. They are living with their parents in their mid-30s. I mean, that's not good for people. Well, at least maybe it is good for them, but it's not what they want to do.
No.
So, yeah, you see, that's the kind of thing that you're faced on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that the thought of all those billions in the bank or available as a surplus would be sufficient to remove the sense of rancor you would harbour as a result of running into this every day. And then, of course, it's health, which, how do you tell me, Pat, you should know this. How expensive is it to have your health attended to in the South?
It's very expensive, Jude.
Well, what would people be paying out? Where I'm told 45 or 49% of people have to take out insurance for health.
Yeah.
So what would the average family have to dole out for that to be insured?
Me and my dear missus are paying something like, I think it's about near enough 300 euros or over 200 euros a month. Dude, that's a lot of money. Like, it's just me. We're both on pensions now.
Wow.
Right, 200 a month. When you go now, one of the few benefits I've been a cross-border worker is because I paid national insurance. I have got a medical card, but if you're in the South, a lot of people wouldn't have that. But they know the thing about it is a lot of people in the South. You were mentioned earlier on. It's not how well a big corporation is doing and how massive profits it has and how much it's given the exchequer. It's how the people at the bottom who can't afford to go out and buy a cup of coffee in a local restaurant, it's as simple as that. And that's the reality. For many, many people at the bottom, it's not a great place to be.
See, I think that's a problem. And I honestly think that would trump your daily lived experience will trump the sort of generalized figures coming out from the government any day of the week. That's what counts to people. Having money in your pocket, or being able to go to the doctor, or being able to own a house, or even rent a house.
See, we've only three.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to ask you a question. What has been the general reaction in the circles and you move and the people you've met and in regard to the election in the north following last Friday? Is it a feel good factor in the community and the nationalist community, or what?
Well, anybody I've spoken to, I need to be very middle of the road people,
Yeah.
were absolutely delighted with the
Why?
election. They again
Why?
and again they would mention the fact that Ian Paisley was defeated. They would mention that Robin Swan was elected. They would mention that Sinn Féin did as well as it did. They would especially mention that down in South Fermanagh that they are Tyrone, West Tyrone. What is it? Fermanagh and
Fermanagh
South
South,
Tyrone.
Fermanagh
Fermanagh and
South.
South Tyrone. Pat Cullen had won just streaked home. So in general, I was surprised at the buoyancy. They would bring the topic up. I'm usually the one who brings up the
Yeah.
topic of an election. But here, where they were bringing it up to me and talking in the way I've described, so it was. I think for many people, it was on the nationalist side, it was quite a good moment.
Yeah.
Could I go back just for a second, Pat, because we're nearly out of time? And that is to this thing about the South and Sinn Féin. And I think their criticism is well targeted against the two things that really are part of everybody's life, housing and health.
Yeah.
But the problem is, and I think you touched on it, they don't produce an alternative. What they should do is not just say, this is awful, but they should say, here, we've got a box of really big ideas for this.
Yeah.
And then throw open the lid and let people see what it is that they have got ready or they could put into place. Because that's the thing that was thrown up all the time with Labour candidates and Lib Dems and all the different parties in Britain. What's your plan? Is it cost? What are you going to do? Why has Sinn Féin not done this? I don't know what their policy is on housing, except they say they'll solve it.
Yeah, and Owen O'Brien is without question the encyclopedia when it comes to housing policy. He knows it inside out. Now, the only thing I think they might be doing, and I'm not certain this because I'm not an analyst they might be keeping their powder dry for the election for a big manifesto on housing. You know, I presume that there might be a strategist in Sinn Féin saying, hey, why do we go out now in the public and so on and give this as a free gratis for somebody to steal the policy? Now, I presume if Sinn Féin get into government, there will be a return to the old style county councils building houses, public houses, and big public, like when I was growing up, local Donegal County Council and Letterkenny Urban Council were building houses for working people, and so on.
We're just about out of time here. I think that would be a very good explanation that they'd hold their powder dry until the election. I hope that's the case. Anyway,
I hope it is too.
Enjoy your sunlit week, Pat. Thank you very
I'm
much
going
for
to
your
cut
presence.
the grass now.
As always, back to the grass. Live horse and you'll get grass.